All right, this is our latest episode of True Wrestling Fans Retro Pay-Per-View Reviews. We're going to be covering the first King of the Ring, although technically not the first King of the Ring, but the first pay-per-view King of the Ring,
Yeah.
1993. I'm your host, Mike.
And I'm Frank. Let's get right into
All right.
it. This was a brand new pay-per-view that Vince McMahon was trying to expand with the usual four, which I never liked it because if once you get to WrestleMania and you got 4 months, you got to wait until you see a televised pay-per-view again.
Yeah,
It was always
yeah.
aggravating as
Too
a
big.
kid.
It was a big gap.
It was, especially when WCW was with not only with the Clash of Champions, but they were still running with 5 or 6 a year.
Right, yeah.
So this was Vince's way of starting with the new generation of getting more viewers. So the Classic King of the Ring tournament, like you said, this wasn't the first. They had done them over the years, but they were never televised. Bret Hart had won. We talked about him winning in 1991. Ted DiBiase won one. Randy Savage. I think Rick Martel also took one because he was in the finals with Tito Santana one year. So this was the first televised one in Dayton, Ohio, June 13th, 1993, the heartland of America. Not exactly the title match we wanted, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's first cover the qualifying matches for this. The number one seed of the tournament was no need for a qualifying. They handed it to Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Bret Hart received a bye to the first round.
That was nice of them after they screwed him out of the belt.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, since you lost at WrestleMania,
Right,
this is what we're going to do for you."
It's a consolation prize.
Rather than give you the rematch.
Yeah.
So, whatever. So from there now, and these are in no order as far as the brackets go. Lex Luger qualified by defeating Bob Backlund by countout. Okay, and then most of these were on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I was about to say that most of them were on Raw.
Yeah, 2 were on Superstars. Then you had Tatanka defeated Giant Gonzalez. Okay, can't see that, but I mean they were really killing this guy at this point. This match was interesting because this is the only year they did this. It took 3 times for one of these two individuals to qualify. And if this didn't work, and I think it's in one of the next ones that I'll go over when we get to them. If you didn't qualify by the first time, you two were out. They picked 2 more people to do it.
Yeah, that was it.
Mr. Perfect and Doink. The first 2, I think the first one was double count out. And the second one, I believe, was a draw. The time limit draw.
Yeah.
So it took 3 times for Mr. Perfect to beat Doink. Really?
Doink was on fire, man. What can I tell you?
Oh, boy. I don't know why. But in any event, Mr. Perfect's now qualified for the King of the Ring tournament. Razor Ramon defeated Tito Santana to get in. Hacksaw Jim Duggan defeated Papa Shango, coming off his injury from Yokozuna. Bam Bam Bigelow defeated Typhoon to get in. And Mr. Hughes beat Kamala. Some of these guys didn't belong in this tournament. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Hughes?
That guy.
Jesus.
In any event, those were your 8 qualifiers for the inaugural King of the Ring. So now we go to the actual pay-per-view itself. We open up in the first round. It's Bret Hart versus Razor Ramon. Now, we all saw the classic match that they had at the Royal Rumble, so they were going to probably duplicate it here. It wasn't as good as the first. You remember, they were also taunting, the fans were heckling Razor at this point with the 1, 2, 3 chants.
Yeah.
With his upset loss to the 1, 2, 3 kid. The match was 10 minutes, 25 seconds. Bret Hart beats Razor Ramon, moves on to the second round. As if there was any doubt that the man that receives the bye is going to go all the way.
Yeah. But it was a good match. It was a really, really good match.
So he would face the winner of the next match, which would be Mr. Perfect versus Mr. Hughes. And Mr. Perfect won by disqualification. It was a 6-minute, 2-second match, probably 5 minutes longer than it needed to be. But Mr. Perfect wins, goes on to the second round to set up a great rematch between Bret and Mr. Perfect from 2 years earlier. So from there, we've got Bam Bam Bigelow and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. This was a 4-minute, 59-second match because they did the storyline where Jim Duggan was still ailing from the attack from Yokozuna about a month or 2 prior. So they used the whole
that idiot was celebrating Remember, he knocked him off his feet. That was the first time Yoko got knocked off his feet, and he's like cheering, he's celebrating, and
Yeah, and then he got the beat down.
yeah,
I think it was 3 bonsai drops off the
it
off
was
the
bad.
middle
I think
rope.
it was on Superstar. I think it was on Superstars. If
Yes.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And then that's when Duggan came out in his new attire with the suspender tights, and no, it didn't work.
They tried.
And he had the whole rib injury, re-injured supposedly during this match. So Bam Bam Bigelow beat him, moves on to the next round. Tatanka and Lex Luger was the most interesting match of the thing because these two put on a clinic, despite the fact that they hit the time limit draw. And this is where we discussed this in the Lex Luger episode, that Luger kind of did a fan favorite move when he asked for 5 more minutes.
Yeah, he asked for more time.
That's usually unheard of from a heel.
Right.
And then when he wasn't granted it, he knocked Tatanka
Hey,
out.
just knocked him off. But it was,
like, I'm not going to get it. I'll just take you out.
what was cool though, at that time they were both undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
They were both undefeated,
so they both kind of still saved face.
Yeah, they saved face. Mm-hmm.
So now they're out of the tournament. So Bam Bam Bigelow's got a guaranteed ticket onward. So now we're done with the first round. We go to round 2. You got Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect. Now, the interview they gave before this match was awesome because they both were referring to 1991. Perfect's like, I remember 91. You just remember I'm absolutely perfect.
They were talking about their fathers too, right? I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's it, yeah.
Stu Hart and Larry the Axe.
Yeah.
And if anybody ever remembered Larry the Axe, man, that guy was a great wrestler too. So, matter of fact, I just found an old AWA match where him and his father and son teaming for the tag belts.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen pictures of it. I haven't seen the match though.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. They didn't win it, but it was kind of cool to see father and son teaming together. We got that now, only it sucks with the Mysterios. Yeah. In any event, 18-minute, 56-second match. Bret Hart beats Mr. Perfect, and you kind of see it in Perfect's eyes that he had to remember he's a fan favorite at this point, not a heel, and so he had to shake his hand to kind of save face with him. And it almost looked like he didn't want to.
Yeah, but it was well done.
It was well done. To me, Mr. Perfect was always a better heel than he was babyface. So, but this was good. These two guys, had a rematch from the not so good match in SummerSlam '91 because Perfect was hurt. But this was
even better. Yeah,
it was by far. So now the finals is set up: Bret Hart and Bam Bam Bigelow. Which Bam Bam being in the finals, I was like,
we got to buy. So, but Bam,
but even if he faced Tatanka and Luger, I don't know. Yeah. I would have kind of maybe put Tatanka in the finals with him.
Yeah, but they weren't going to do the baby face, I think. So
no.
But Bam Bam could work. Bam Bam was a great wrestler. It's just that at that point, he was past his prime, and they weren't really pushing him like maybe I guess like in the '80s. But he was.
They never even pushed him there either. He was there for a short time, and the agility he had and the stuff that he did from '87 through '88. I was shocked that they did nothing with him and they released him
because the talent was there. So he has a great match with Bret. That was a great. That was a great match, and Bret. Those matches, they were all those matches were different. The style that he was wrestling. So Bret basically wanted to show you that. Listen, I could wrestle with anybody. I could put on, and I could steal the show, and I could.
I especially want to wrestle with a 6'6", 302-pound individual holding my belt.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our next match. For the WWE Championship, Hulk Hogan defending the title against Yokozuna, the man that should have never been champion. This should have been Hogan. This should have been Yoko versus Bret, or Bret versus Hogan at this pay-per-view. This made no sense. And we've gone over it that they wanted to do it at SummerSlam, but Hogan backed out.
Yeah.
Wanted to drop the title here.
Doesn't work for me, brother.
And this match was cheesy, especially with the whole cameraman in disguise, which was Harvey Whippleman.
Oh, yeah.
Which, again, makes no sense because you didn't go any further with it. Because obviously you can't because Hogan's leaving. So 13 minutes, 9 seconds. Yokozuna wins back the WWE Championship and sends Hogan packing. Yeah. Thank you. We'll see you in 9 years. I don't believe he should have been there, and I was really upset about it. At least this shouldn't have been the title match.
No, and it wasn't a good match.
No, and we've discussed this already in other episodes as far as who it should have been. what happened, the politics surrounding it. In any event, now Yokozuna's got his belt back that he was denied at WrestleMania. Our next match after this was a 8-man tag team match. It was the Steiner Brothers and the Smoking Guns versus Money Incorporated and the Head Shrinkers. Interesting match, considering the tag teams that were teaming in this. And at this point, the tag team division was still good. It hadn't quite faltered yet like it did a year later. But there was a short match, 6 minutes, 49 seconds. The Steiners and Smoking Guns win the match. And this was Money Inc.'s last pay-per-view together.
Yeah.
Because Ted DiBiase had his individual match at SummerSlam, and then his career was over. And I believe by this point, the Steiner brothers were the tag team champions. Because I know they were at SummerSlam when they fought the Heavenly Bodies.
It might be,
But why there was no tag title match at this, I don't know. So now from there, we go to the Intercontinental title match with Shawn Michaels versus the red hot up-and-comer Crush.
Kona Crush.
Yeah.
From Hawaii.
11. Yeah, okay. Demolition Crush. 11 minutes, 14 seconds. Shawn Michaels defends the Intercontinental Championship against Crush. Wasn't a knockdown, drag-out event. It wasn't a 5-star match. It was average. It was to see if Crush could handle being in a title match, which he could. Unfortunately, just never given it again. And, I mean, again, I could have seen 5 other guys that could have been in this match other than him. And I was always wondering on this pay-per-view why The Undertaker wasn't involved in it. And there's a guy that will draw for you, especially, I mean, okay, he went through the feud with Giant Gonzalez, and I know you're saving it for SummerSlam. Why, I don't know, because that match was just trash. But, yeah, he wasn't on the card, which was kind of confusing. But in any event, from there we go to our King of the Ring finals, Bret Hart and Bam Bam Bigelow. 18 minutes, 11 seconds. This was a great match. And correct me if I'm wrong, but he never used the sharpshooter on any of his matches in this.
No, he never used it. Yeah.
Like you said, I think he was trying to prove that I could wrestle with anybody and I could beat them any way I choose. Because this one involved off the top rope, if I'm not mistaken.
He used the victory roll to beat him.
Yeah. But there was something where a suplex or something was reversed off the top that he did with Bigelow. And it was a great match. I mean, he proved that Bigelow could be in there as well with a guy like Bret Hart. But, I mean, if you see the storyline coming, you know Bret's going to be the inaugural King of the Ring.
Yeah, you can kind of tell. It was setting it up.
This is his compilation prize
for
losing the belt.
Yeah, this is, just to shut him up for a little while.
And we're not going to put you back in the title picture for a few more months.
Right, because we're going to have you feud with
the guy that interrupted the ceremony.
Yeah.
Jerry Lawler. Never made any sense to me. Again, guy wasn't really wrestling. He was commentating on Superstars.
Right.
I honestly never knew he was there until I watched the Royal Rumble. And even then, I was like,
I know he was there. I just didn't care.
Nobody did.
Yeah.
And unless you really followed it or researched it back now, you didn't realize he came from AWA.
Right.
Was a former AWA champion.
You know what I remember thinking? This is what I remember vividly thinking. Like, when he came in, I'm like, who's this guy calling himself the King? Like, I didn't get it.
Exactly.
I didn't get it. I was like, why is he calling himself? I was like, who is this guy?
We've had guys do that, but they've won the honor.
Right. I'm like,
from somebody in order to do it.
Yeah,
Harley Race, Macho, Duggan, Haku, all won matches or tournaments.
I didn't get it. I'm just talking about as a fan. I'm not trying to diss Jerry Lawler or any of his fans. I'm talking about as a WWE fan. Like, at that time, we didn't know
who he was,
or why he should be called the King. Like, it didn't make any sense.
It worked for me because he was a commentator,
right?
So I was like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah, but then when you had him in the feud with Bret, I'm like, who is like?
Why is he getting one of the top guys? And now I love Jerry Lawler. His commentary.
Oh, he's one of the best.
Him and JR.
Oh, him and JR. Yeah.
Ranked right below Monsoon and Heenan.
Yeah.
As greatest all time. Mm-hmm. I love the whole puppies and the Attitude Era was Lawler's best work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I still wish to this day they would put him back on commentary instead of doing the pre-show shows. I mean, tremendous respect to him. But back then, at this point, I just didn't see it.
Yeah, no.
And I didn't like it. I didn't like the feud between these two.
No.
It ran too long with idiotic things. Because you remember when we covered SummerSlam, it wasn't only Lawler he had to fight at that. It was Doink as well. So now you just dropped Brett a few more points down. So, I mean, I just didn't like this feud. And I didn't like the fact that he got the beatdown from Lawler during the coronation.
Just to set up the feud that nobody...
They could have did this on Monday Night Raw. Brett come out with the stuff and do the beatdown. Why do it at the pay-per-view to close out the show?
After he just tore the house down, put on a great performance, then you have him beat up by Jerry Lawler, who has like no, as far as I'm concerned, had no credibility with anybody at that point because
he hadn't really fought anybody.
That's what I'm saying. So that was stupid.
Other than the Royal Rumble.
So I do love this pay-per-view because it's the Bret Hart show and it's got Bret showing how good of a wrestler he is. But I didn't like the ending, and the Hogan thing was
trash.
Was not good at all.
I'm glad that Yokozuna got his belt back because that youngster deserved it. I mean, you watch his documentary that they had out a few months back, and you see why, you see what happens, and then you can understand his frustration. And I mean, as a fan back then, I was a Hogan fan. I loved it. But as you look at it years later and go back, it's like, why did you have to involve yourself in this? You were involved in another storyline that went nowhere. It was supposed to be a one and done. Why did you get involved in this when they're trying to go past you?
Doesn't make sense. But...
It did not. And going forward through SummerSlam didn't make sense when we talked about with Luger. When it should have been Bret Hart at SummerSlam. Because back then they were saying for the first 3 King of the Rings, the winner was guaranteed a title shot at SummerSlam. Again, you screwed Bret out of that option. So with a guy like Jerry Lawler. Anybody else interferes that's a credible wrestler, I can understand it. Maybe an Adam Bomb or something like that to where they're trying to boost themselves.
I don't know if I would call Adam Bomb credible.
When he first started, he was. I mean, the gimmick was good. I'm not saying the guy should be WWE champion. I mean, by any means.
I mean, Adam Bomb, they got kind of a push.
Yeah, they did.
So if they were trying to build him, if they were bringing in Adam, and he was a big guy, okay.
Sorry, I mentioned him.
I don't know. I don't know.
He was one of the cheesy gimmicks that worked.
No, but he looked. He had a look. He had
the look.
But either way, Jerry Lawler just wasn't the.
I didn't want to start a WrestleMania 2 laughter thing going here when I mentioned Adam Bomb. I just using him as an example. Rick Martel. Let's pull out a veteran.
But 93.
Well, 93 was the model. Martel. They were trying to bump him again because remember he was part of the tournament.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying somebody else other than Lawler would have made sense to go to SummerSlam to fight them.
Right.
Instead of a guy like him is what I'm trying to say.
I hear what you're saying.
You know, damn, I wish I would have given them more thought and had somebody else to mention, but no names could come to mind, unfortunately. Bulldog was already gone. What are you going to do? They weren't ready for Owen yet.
No, not yet. But yeah, I still think this might be the best King of the Ring. I think it might be 93.
Besides 96, I would say it's definitely up. The 93 I would put up there as 1 and 2. It's hard to debate it with 96, who's 1 and 2 because of what we got from the King of the Ring 96, but definitely one of the best.
Yeah, definitely.
The worst, unfortunately, will be when I cover 95.
Yeah.
But 95 was just anyway.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
No, we're not.
Yeah. So that's our 93 King of the Ring review. You guys let us know what you think about the tournament. What do you think about the pay-per-view itself?
And should have come back.
Yeah.
Should have actually been a pay-per-view that they returned. Right now they only bring it back whenever they feel like it.
Yeah.
So I think it should be part of the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think so. If done,
you guys let us know what you think of that.
Yeah, so we'll be covering King of the Ring 94 next. So like I said, like, comment, share, subscribe, and see you guys soon.
Take care, guys.